Hello, my friends. So, Amberlynn went live last night to break her silence, basically responding to the podcast that we all know and love that Casey and Beck were on to kind of set the record straight and give their stories a little bit. And Amberlynn's response really, a lot of it is just total BS. And she reads a lot of messages that are just glazing her. I could not believe how many people were in there really kissing her ass. And it just makes me sad that there are so many people that buy the shit that she's selling, you know? So I've got a bunch of highlights here, and it's not the whole video. She was live for like 2.5 hours, and it was mostly just stupid shit. And a lot of super chats telling her how wonderful she is and how reaction channels are incels. Is it possible that Beck is lying about a bunch of stuff? I mean, it's possible. But Beck has earned the benefit of the doubt. They've earned some grace. Amberlynn has not earned the benefit of the doubt. We have years and years and years and thousands of examples of Amberlynn lying, just flat out lying. And we just don't have that with Beck. So let's get started. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic. I'm not gonna lie. First, this is going to grind your gears. This is gonna be a little bit of baby glazing. So I'm sorry for this, but we need to know what's out there. We need to know these people exist.
We love you from the UK. Love Ellie and Phoebe. Oh, thank you guys. I love you too. Um, don't do this. You are better than them. They want this. I'm not better than anybody.
Okay, so right there, you're like, that's actually not a bad response, okay? Like, stupid comment, right? Don't do this. You're better than them. Oh my God. Like, just the fact that somebody could know Amberlynn, see Amberlynn, and say something like that. Okay, but anyway. Now, the response is, I'm not better than anybody. And if she'd left it at that and just said, thanks for the comment or something, okay, I could say, that was a pretty good response. But she just can't leave it at that.
They're not better than me. I'm not better than them. It's not about that. It's just like so much. Like I've been wanting to say so much and I haven't been able to. And I'm going to say why.
So she brings up her phone a lot. And I noticed that she's always looking at it, talking about proof that she has. And she shows it a couple of times, but she talks about the proof way more than she shows the proof. You know what I mean? She's constantly saying, I've got proof for this, got proof for that. And then she doesn't really ever show much. She shows a couple of screenshots that are dubious at best.
I thought you only have one phone. I do actually, but I use one phone, which is this guy. I went into my storage unit and I got my phone from when I was actually dating Beck.
Which I don't think that's how it works. When you buy a new phone, your texts and stuff don't stay on the old phone. It's your account, right? It's all account based. Once you log into your new phone, your contacts, your text messages, your voicemails, everything that you've done on that phone just transfers over to the new one. It's been like that for 10 years probably. So I mean, maybe it's nitpicking, but she went to storage to get the phone that she had when she was with Beck. Like, that makes no sense. If you're looking at text messages, unless you like took screenshots, maybe that's what she says. But even then, I mean, you'd think it would just be on the cloud. But I just found that a little weird that she claimed that she needed to go get the other phone, because the whole kind of controversy, or what people were saying was, you said you only have one phone. So yeah, she says, I only use one phone, but I went and got the other phone from when I was dating Beck, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It's just kind of silly because your text messages carry over. If you're looking for texts, you can look on your new phone and find your texts.
So I went all the way to my storage unit and got it, plugged it in, charged it. So yeah. Who diagnosed you with BPD and when?
Okay, so now this is funny, okay? Who diagnosed you with BPD and when? Pay close attention to what she says about the diagnosis, right? Just keep in your head while she's talking, who diagnosed?
So it was actually when I was seeing the psychologist. It was around that era of when I was like getting my weight loss surgery. I was with Feline at the time. So it was 2023. It was I would say maybe March of 2023, like around that area. And that was when they were like, okay, so you meet the criteria because there's like 9 criterions, whatever, whatever. And they were like, but you need to see someone who like specifically can help you with this because my psychologist at the time did not. And I never saw anyone until now.
Did you hear who diagnosed? No. She said this person that couldn't diagnose me back then, couldn't help me with that, said that I meet the criteria and all that stuff. And I never saw anybody until now. So she's hinting that the current psychologist or therapist or whoever she's seeing now, or well, pretending to see now, diagnosed her. But she never says that. She just says, when I was about to get weight loss surgery, and she's looking around a lot. She's doing the tells that she always does when she's lying, when she's making up a story. But she's saying that during the weight loss surgery, they just sort of said, yeah, it could probably be BBBT, BBDTB. It could probably be BPD, but I can't diagnose you. You need to see somebody that specializes in that at some point. And then she just skips forward and says, and I never did that until now. Anyway, moving on. Never actually says that this current guy diagnosed me. Nothing. Because, again, it's plausible deniability. So far, I'm still not believing Amber.
Choosy or like when they would give me like the anxiety massage, like it's just like partner, you know, emotional regulation, like making your partner feel good and safe and loved, and things that I would also do for them. Like they really liked when I would do this. So that was like my thing that I did for them. And it's like, I'm realizing that it wasn't that at all. It was, I almost feel like I was a burden to them.
So right off the bat, there's already a big difference between this kind of thing and choosy, because with choosy, you have to stop what you're doing. You have to then focus on playing this game, if you want to call it that, with Amber. Whereas this, you could be watching a movie, they could be drawing while you're doing it. You could be, they could be playing video games. You could do that anytime. And even Amber could be doing her own thing, and Beck could be doing their own thing, and she could still do that, right? It never took Amber's attention to do that. In fact, that's probably a pretty common thing for people to do, like when watching a movie together. You sit and watch a movie and just having the touch there, right? But with choosy, it's like, whatever you're doing, stop and focus on me and this stupid thing that we're doing.
In moments that I thought we were actually genuinely bonding, like that's the part that's like hard for me to like wrap my head around, I think. Do you owe Beck $6,000? No. So I guess we can talk about the inheritance. I did talk about this in my members only, but obviously not everyone saw that. So in my members only, I talked about how Beck is saying that I took the inheritance. Me and Beck had a joint account.
Well, I don't think Beck was necessarily saying that Amber took the inheritance. It was more that Beck kind of had the idea of holding on to that money for specific things or for, emergencies or whatever. And Amber was like, we need to use this for bills and all that stuff because I've been paying for stuff all along and now you owe me. So let's see what she says about that.
Okay, so this is where a screenshot comes in. So I'm glad we're talking about this. So it was originally their bank account. And when we got together, I ended up going on their bank account together. So we were joint bank accounts. So any money that either of us both received went into one full-fledged, one area.
Seems unlikely that Amber would change all of her stuff, right? She's been getting YouTube money for years at this point. It seems unlikely that she would then join Beck's account. You know what I mean? That just doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you have your own account where all your YouTube money comes in? Because she's going to say that this is the same account that YouTube pays her into. If she did that, that's a really weird and stupid decision. So, I guess it's not too terribly far-fetched.
In a recent, I don't know if it was video, live stream, I forget what it was. Beck said how they didn't even have the means to look at the bank to see how much money was in there, that they had to use my debit card, that I had my own private thing. Those are not true statements. I have a screenshot. I was not able to get into the bank ever.
Now that right there, I call absolute bullshit on. She is claiming that she didn't have access to look at her account. which again, she had already had YouTube paying her in whatever account she had for years. And so what she's saying is the account that I had to close it, and then I had to open a new account with Beck or add myself to Beck's account, right? So I had to close this account, add myself to Beck's account, then change all of the information from YouTube paying into that account, which is not hard, but it's not that easy. It's not something Amberlynn would want to do. So already we've got lots of crap that she would have to do to set this up. So she's closed her account, added herself to Beck, and then she's claiming that she didn't have access to that account ever. She said ever. Forever.
Forever. Forever. Forever.
Anyway, she said, I've never had any access to that account. Bullshit. Like, no, that is obviously bullshit. So far, I'm at a 0 on the believing Amberlynn scale.
I have so many screenshots of wondering, how much did I get paid? I would text Becky and literally ask that. I'd be like, how much did I get paid? Et cetera, et cetera.
What? Again, she had already been paid by YouTube for years. She's saying, how much did I get paid? How did you look at that before? What a stupid thing to think that people would believe.
And Beck would literally send me screenshots of our bank. So I have everything crossed off that's like personal information, but this is just proof that that was a lie from Beck, an absolute lie. I said, how much money is in the bank? And here's a screenshot that says, hi, Rebecca, like, et cetera, showing how much money we had in the bank because I was not able to get into it. I was never able to see how much went in there, how much I got paid, unless I looked on my AdSense, which is part of YouTube, and that's how you get paid. I was never able to see any of that. And we had our own separate debit cards that were in the joint account together. Any money that Beck received would go into the same spot that my money went to because, again, it was joint. I didn't have private anything. Again, it's this is probably the one of the biggest lies has left my jaw on the floor. All right, I don't want to accidentally show any of my other pictures. So, here.
All right, so how much money is in the bank? Okay, here's what I'm guessing. They probably had more than one account, right? And I'm guessing they may have had a joint account, but I would bet my bottom dollar that Amberlynn had her own account where most of the money was. And it was probably the same account that YouTube had always paid her through. And then they also had this account. And so if I had to guess, this was probably an account that they opened for just buying random shit, or like maybe Amberlynn wanted to buy some makeup or DoorDash or whatever, and didn't know how much was in that account. Now, she may have not had access to that account as much as the other, but I'm not buying for a second that Amberlynn only had a joint account with Beck, and this was it. No, I'm not buying it. And so Amber found this screenshot, and she probably remembered when she heard Beck talking about the bank account. I guarantee Amber kind of at one point had an epiphany, like, oh, I remember that one time I asked them about the bank account. I can show that, even though she knows it's not the same account. But it doesn't matter because she knows we can't see the truth. We can't see the numbers and all that stuff. We wouldn't know. So she's hoping that we'll just see a bank account and that question of how much is in the account and just believe her that it was a joint account and that was the only account that they had. She just thought, this screenshot, that's handy. I've got this screenshot that I can pretend is proof. And again, if you were a bystander, somebody who had no idea what was going on, you might think, oh, that's a little far-fetched. This is enough proof. But we know Amber. We know she will do anything to not look bad or to not be the one that is at fault. There's a therapist that said a narcissist will let the house burn down before they admit they started a fire. She's admitting some of the smaller stuff to give herself credibility. And then so the bigger stuff, then she can come on and lie about. Because that's just how Amberlynn operates.
Here it says, hi, Rebecca, because this is their account, literally their account right here, which we shared, but I could not get into it. So I have so many screenshots of Beck sending me screenshots of the bank because I couldn't see it.
Again, she shows one And it doesn't really prove anything. It proves that there was an account that was Beck's and that Amberlynn wanted to know how much was in it. That doesn't prove that it was her account.
I'll just read it. I just want you to know that I was in love with you and I was heartbroken. And I even am now. I wrote this to Beck, by the way. I even am now as I'm realizing I'm losing someone I thought was family. I truly think you are one of the best people I've ever known, and I would be grateful for you till the day I die. You were there for me during the most hardest times of my life. I will continue.
And we all say weird things when we're drunk. And guaranteed she said this when she was drunk. And that's when we tend to get the most sentimental, right? Like I remember I had a friend that I went to high school with, and later on we were both in a college class together. And I hadn't seen him in years because I went back to college to finish my bachelor's degree when I was like 25 or 26. And I ran into him. We had a class together, and it was just really cool kind of catching up. And he was actually a lead singer of a band that was doing pretty well at the time, and they were starting to kind of take off, and then they ended up kind of quitting. But it was like a month or two after school was out. I was working at a fire sprinkler company, and I was out on a job. And that night, me and the guys, we just went out drinking, and we got pretty intoxicated. And that night, I started listening to one of the songs that they had. And I was just like, man, this song is so good. So I started texting him, bro, this song is so good. I love your music. And I'm so sad that you guys broke up. And I was like crying that their band broke up because I was drunk, you know? So if you were to read that, if I were to go back and read my text to my friend who was in a band, you would think that I was like obsessed with this band. But I mean, it wasn't that big a deal. I really didn't care that much. But when I was drunk, it sure felt serious, you know? So this is, who cares what you said to them?
Continue to be sorry for everything hard I put you through. I will forever miss you, Becky. Truly. So that's awkward. So that's what I had crossed off on that one. So Beck says that they never met Feline or Libby, but that's not true. There's video proof of both of those things.
Even in the podcast, they were talking about how they talked to Feline and they weren't sure how to really tell Feline Jade, how bad Amber is, you know? So I think it's pretty known that Beck knew Feline. I don't think that was an issue. But on Libby, have you guys seen a video of Beck talking to, or talking about Libby other than maybe what's happening recently?
Beck says that they wiped me. Okay, so story time on that. Beck started wiping me after my hysterectomy, and it continued on after that. This part is embarrassing, and this part I am going to be accountable.
Okay, so you see what I mean? She's taking this, that is something where she can still play the victim, kinda, right? She is saying that because of her hysterectomy and because of a medical issue, Beck had to wipe her. So that's really easy to take accountability when she's still able to say, it wasn't my fault. I had this hysterectomy. Now, she does say it would never have gotten as bad as it was if it weren't for my size. So again, she has these little nuggets of truth and accountability. She comes out and is able to say, oh yeah, this little thing is true. So that should buy me enough credibility to then say this stuff is a lie. That's how manipulation works. They tend to not lie about everything. They tend to lie about the big stuff and important things, but then they'll tell you the truth about stuff that is just like, yeah, I mean, this part, the fact that Beck wiped Amber, we all assumed it started with the hysterectomy. But the problem is it just went on way too long. And she's probably lying about how long it was because she's going to say that it went on for like 9 months. But I'm going to guess Beck probably has a different story about that.
Here we go. Accountable Lynn coming in at you. So my hysterectomy. Okay, so wiping. Okay, I'm so embarrassed. Holy fuck. Wiping for me has always been extremely hard as a bigger girl, obviously. If you were bigger, my size, it's hard.
It's almost like, I feel like there's something you could do to fix that or help that. Or maybe something you could not do as much to help that.
When I was about to get my hysterectomy, that was a big thing for me that I was like, how am I going to be able to wipe myself? Because it's hard already. I'm not going to be able to. So this is something that I was like, at the time, I was like, Becky, like, are you going to be able to do this for me? Like, I'm really embarrassed about it.
Basically, she goes on and on and on about how Beck wiped her because of the hysterectomy. And then, but it was only 9 months. And I think we're going to find out that may be a little on the low side as far as how long Beck had to do it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Beck has to say. I'm sure that Beck, in case you're going to have a rebuttal to this, because in a little bit, we're going to hear something from Amberlynn about Casey that I don't like. I don't like it at all. So let's just keep going.
And I see a lot of people making fun of me. I knew that was going to happen. And I guess that's fine.
So there is a brief, like split second here after she tells the story of her wiping and Beck helping her with that. She says this.
That is embarrassing. And I see a lot of people making fun of me. I knew that was going to happen. And I guess that's fine.
There's a split second of humanity in Amberlynn. She always has this mask of whether it's anger or smugness, laughing things off or whatever. But there is a split second when she says they're making fun of me, which here's the thing. She's talking about somebody helping her wipe her own ass and people are making fun of her, which whatever. She hasn't really earned any sympathy, but this is a moment where she actually shows some humanity, and it's for herself, obviously. But this is what an actual emotion from Amberlynn looks like.
So it's fine.
And it was just kind of weird because she just let that mask slip a little bit. And of course, the one time she shows genuine emotion and genuine kind of sadness is when somebody's making fun of her.
Okay. Okay, so another thing. Beck said how I always went through their phone and how I would never let them go through mine. Half of that is true. Half of that is not true.
Okay, now remember, Beck said that Amber would always go through their phone, but they weren't allowed to go through her phone.
Like your YouTube, and she'd monitor your text messages and stuff.
Oh yeah, she would go through everything.
Oh my god,
She knew everything.
God damn.
And I couldn't
Yeah.
go through none of her stuff
Of
because
course.
she said she had private stuff on there in her private journal that she wrote in every day. And I was never allowed to see what was in that journal. Never.
If you listen to that, Beck is saying she had private stuff on there.
Of
Because
course.
she said she had private stuff on there in her private journal.
So Beck is talking about Amber's phone. And then she
Her
says,
private journal that she wrote in every day.
because on the phone, she had a private journal that she wrote in every day.
And I was never allowed to see what was in that journal. Never.
And I was never allowed to see what was in that journal. Now, it sounds like Beck is talking about a physical journal
Of
Because
course.
she said she had private stuff on there in her private journal.
because she said she had private stuff on there. And she said she had her private journal. So I think what they're saying is there was a journal that she wrote in on her phone, on Amber's phone. And that's why she wouldn't let Beck look through her phone. So I can kind of understand how somebody would hear this part.
Every day. And I was never allowed to see what was in that journal.
I was never allowed to see what was in that journal. So I can see how that could be misunderstood. Okay, so I will give the benefit of the doubt this one time to Amber that she thinks Beck is talking about the physical journal because Beck said, I was not allowed to see what was in that journal. But right before that, Beck said, Amber had all this stuff on there, meaning her phone, including this journal, and I was never allowed to see this journal. And Beck basically says that that's the excuse that Amber gave to not let Beck see the phone. So basically, Amber spends a lot of time on this journal that, so she shows the pages that she wrote in, and in the pages, Amber says, I can't let Beck read this anymore, and blah, 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 which I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm done reading this journal to Beck. This shit has gotten kind of deep, and I want to go even deeper. There are some things I don't want Beck. But again, I don't think Beck was talking about the physical journal. She was talking about the phone where Amber claimed to have private journalings in the phone. So I will chalk this one up to a misunderstanding.
So something I was really bad with due to like trust issues, but it doesn't even matter otherwise. We're not going to even just erase that I just said that. I would go through Beck's phone. Yes. And I also did it to past partners as well. Not a good look. Very not a good look. I was always, I'm not even going to say why. It doesn't matter why. I did it and I'm sorry. That's controlling. That's wrong. It's wrong. Point blank period. I should not have ever done that. Like there's no reason.
So, I mean, that sounds like accountability. Credit where credit is due. She just flat out said, it was wrong. I should not have done that. I'm not even going to try to explain it. I just shouldn't have done it. And consider my flabbers gasted, because that is surprising. But again, all of this is self-serving. So this is part of the manipulation. When a narcissist admits fault about something, it's usually so that then they can kind of earn credibility so that they can lie about something else.
Because I was very controlling of their time. And I'm very, very so sorry for that. But never once have I ever been financially abusive. We have been equally so bad with money. That's why I have nothing to literally show for anything, because we would spend so much money, the both of us, constant. Like, they were allowed to buy what they want when they wanted. Like, I literally bought them a car. Like, I bought them a car.
Well, yeah, you kind of had to, because they drove you around everywhere. You needed them to be able to drive you places. So you didn't really buy them a car. You bought you a car, and you just had a chauffeur.
I'm that type of person where you guys have even seen it. You guys have seen it. You guys have called me out on my shit. I buy love. And I have gotten so much better with that, especially because like the last like 6 years of my life, 7 years of my life, 8 years actually. What am I saying? Like the last like 8 years of my life, like I have bought people with money. I have bought love, I have bought friendships, I have bought laughter, I have bought time with people
It's funny that she's admitting that, but yeah, that's love bombing.
because of money. And that's how it's always been. I have never been a greedy person when it comes to money. It's almost like I got a kick out of giving people money and like going on shopping sprees and like doing all these sorts of things. So it's like, what?
Yeah, that's love bombing. That's a narcissistic trait. Yeah, so she's claiming that they just shared the money, that it was never my money, it was our money. And she would just give it. I never gave any stipulations. They could spend however much and whenever they wanted.
Why did you guys share a bank account? I know tons of married couples who don't. I couldn't imagine sharing a bank account with a girlfriend. It's so weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was the last time I ever did it. Never gonna do it again and never will do it again.
It's that overacting. It's so weird. I'm not, it's a tell. So that means that either the account wasn't a joint account or it was just a different account.
No thanks. But why? I don't remember why we did it. It's just I remember me and Destiny also shared a bank account, so it felt normal to me because like the first time ever like receiving money from like as an income, I was with Destiny and we both had an income and we were putting our money together. So then when I first got with Beck, they had an income, I had an income, and I thought that was normal for like couples to get a bank account together. So I literally just went on theirs and I didn't really think anything of it. And like I said, I'm just all about like sharing the money. I've never been someone that's like my money, my money.
Interesting she would say that. Thank you to Read Between the Lies, which, what a great channel name. That's awesome. So give her some love. This is a great video, but this is the reviewing Beck's experiences after the allegation. So basically, after Beck started reacting to a lot of the stuff, Read Between the Lies went and showed them back to back, the allegations and then the actual videos where these things happen. So check that out. It's really awesome. But this first one is the one I wanted to look at. And when it comes to Amberlynn saying it's my money. Now, unfortunately, you can't really hear it, but we know what she's saying.
I've named every car I have. I've had.
Yeah, that car out there is mine. I didn't get to name it.
Yeah, that car out there is mine. Who's the one that takes it to get all the oil changes? Keeps up
Becky.
with it? Who's the one that...
Right here, Beck has said that Amberlynn is saying who paid for it. And there have been a number of times, and I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly when, but there have been a number of times where Amberlynn has said, oh yeah, well, who paid for that? Who paid for this? Who paid for that? And so, yeah, she just rubbed it in Beck's face all the time.
drives it?
Who paid for the car? And this is, of course, the infamous scene where Beck then says, who has been wiping your ass? Which that, it was after a hysterectomy. Beck was just being kind.
When I heard like using me for money, like low key, it felt like it made sense to me because I would tell them like, get a job. Like,
wait, she's saying she wanted Beck to get a job? Are we talking about this person?
I was controlling and I was manipulative when I wanted to get my way, in the sense of like wanting them to just always be with me. And I would get angry with them when they would be gone for too long.
This person who says, I was controlling, I wanted them to be with me all the time, I wanted to control their time. And again, she's only going to admit to the things that she can have an excuse for, like BPD, right? She's going to admit to the wiping of her ass because of the hysterectomy. She's going to admit to the controlling behavior because of the BPD, right? Anything she has an excuse for, she'll admit to. Amberlynn is trying to say, they were bored, so I wanted them to get a job. But also, I wanted to control every minute of their life and wanted them to be around me all the time. Those two things cannot coincide. And you know which one actually happened. She definitely controlled Beck's time. She did not want Beck to have a job. So remember, Beck said that they were not allowed to watch reaction channels when they were with Amber.
And I would watch these things, and I would watch these react channels that I was not allowed to watch while I was with her.
But we also remember in one of Beck's Q&As, Amber just talked about reaction channels all the time. It was an obsession of hers that she was constantly watching them and constantly talking about them. So keep that in mind.
Did you ban Beck from watching reaction channels? No, because here's another thing that I thought was really weird. Beck literally doxed Zachary Michael's like full name in one of my YouTube videos, and there's literally a clip of it. And I was like so confused because I didn't even know Zach's full name. Like, how did Beck know it over me? I was beyond confused.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy that Beck knew something about Zachary Michael that Amber didn't, you know? And Beck knew stuff about Zachary Michael probably because Amber talked about them all the time. Zachary Michael and Karina Kaboom and Apathetic Facts and, you know, the whole thing. She probably just constantly talked about how awful they were and how, you know, just everything about them. So anything Beck knew likely came from Amber, even though they weren't allowed to watch it. All right, so I want you to brace yourself for this because this really burned my biscuits. So just kind of be prepared for that.
You can be accountable for things and also share your side of the story. Like, that goes for both of us. Like, why is it only okay for them to share their story, but I'm not able to? And a lot of people are like, well, it's because you're an abuser. Beck is like a victim. Remember when I shared my story about Casey? And I still stand by every single thing I said about Casey. I still stand by that. No one believed me. No one believed a single thing I said. That has been one of the most torturous things that I've ever gone through in my actual lifetime.
She is double, triple, quadrupling down on the Casey allegations. I don't know, man. I have never heard anybody else say anything about Casey in the same light, right? We hear constantly about Amber's bad behavior. We hear it from every ex that has come forward and talked about Amber. They've talked about how manipulative, abusive, and just generally horrible she is. So we see a pattern of behavior with Amber. But I have not heard any kind of accusations about Casey. You know, now Casey is not nearly as big of a public figure as Amberlynn, but you'd think we would have heard something. You'd think somebody would come out and be like, yeah, Casey did that to me too, or Casey, whatever. But we've got the pattern of behavior for Amber already. So the fact that she is still doubling down on that is pretty disgusting. Now, is there a chance that she's telling the truth? There's always a chance. It's never 100% one way or the other. And we'll never know for sure 100% what the truth is. But all we have to go by is past behavior and past behavior. That's really it. Because not only is it past behavior of abusive tendencies, but also just lying. She lies all the time too. So we can't believe her when she says it, and then we can't believe her when she then doubles down. So here's some more examples of babies.
I understand that you want to prove yourself with these people. Will never be persuaded. Stop giving them ammunition. You are dealing with incompetence. Yeah.
She loves that. She loves being glazed by these babies, and they, especially if they talk bad about reaction channels.
Yo, mama, hi. I didn't even know you were in here. Hello, hello.
It's funny that she loves Yo Mama. Does Yo Mama like kiss her ass or something? That's weird.
Amberlynn, let it go after this. People want to believe the worst, and they're called trolls for a reason. They're the worst of the worst. This is challenging to watch. No one should have to do this.
This person, whoever commented that, gave her money to call us the worst of the worst. Talking to Amberlynn Reed, calling us, the girl world community, reaction channels, commenters, people who don't like Amberlynn Reed, calling us the worst of the worst. If that's not irony, I don't know what is. You know? Do you think they know? Like they're hearing the things that are being alleged about Amberlynn, and they're still choosing to defend her. That's why I just think there's just bad people, and that's who likes Amberlynn, is just bad people who can identify with an abuser.
Thank you for the super chat. And yeah, it's hectic.
And it just gives her ego a boost, and it lets her feel like more of a victim, and it feels like she's being bullied because these people are agreeing with her.
You're asking for personal questions. You had told us you had an IEP. What was your disability? You have traits of autism with trauma and narcissism. What's an IEP?
An IEP is an individualized education program, or individual educational program. It's for kids who need some extra help. And it's not always for like disabilities or anything like that. Sometimes it can be for really gifted students, right? It can be individualized for them because they need something more than what the normal classroom can give them. But it usually is used for like ADHD, the autism spectrum, things like that. And it just basically gives a student a little extra help. And I don't know where in the past she has claimed to have an IEP. If you guys can remember, or if you guys know where that is, let me know. But yeah, I don't know what this commenter is talking about when apparently she claimed to have an IEP and then now doesn't know what it is. So I don't know. Let me know. And now they're going to go in on reaction channels
That I don't like. Like, I like Elizabeth, so that doesn't count. Yo Mama, I like him, so that doesn't count. So those two do not count. Those, I will always watch them.
I'm guessing it's because they're the only ones that are kind of nice to her sometimes.
But when it comes to like Jordy and like all of them, their little cluster of people, Zachary Michael is the only one that I sometimes watch still. And it's hard because it's like, even he has this unrealistic view of how I should be as a person, as a girlfriend, as a daughter, as a YouTuber. No matter what I'm showing in my videos, it's never good enough for him. And this is his job. So it's like, if your job is like to react to someone that's actually interesting to you, because obviously I'm not it.
I beg to differ. You are very interesting, but not because of the reasons you think, right? She's interesting because she's so horrible and has no idea. Her self-awareness is zero. None. She has no self-awareness. So she doesn't realize why she's interesting. She's interesting because she is malignant narcissism embodied, right? She is walking malignant narcissism. And so all the little things she does, and I've mentioned this in several videos, there are a lot of little nuances and little things she says and does that we pick up on because we've watched her for so long, that babies and all those people probably don't, or newcomers don't see. So it may seem like we're picking on her, and it may seem like we're just saying she's boring, but she is boring and also very fascinating. I don't know that I'd say interesting, but fascinating, because she's awful. And it's fun to watch and pick apart awful people and awful behavior.
You don't need to prove yourself to Jordy's and Snowflake's clown posse. The haters are incels hating you, make them feel better about their sad life. Yeah, it's a lot. Like, Snowflake like cheats on his wife, and like that's okay. I don't know. It's just a lot.
So what happened there is, first of all, again, an baby coming out calling reaction channels incels and saying that, you know, they all have sad lives and stuff. Now, I don't know Snowflake. I don't know Jordy. You know, I don't know these people personally, but I would be far more likely to get along with them than her, because I know how horrible she is. And, you know, we know Jordy and Zachary Michael and the Ankle and Snowflake all seem like pretty just chill people. The comment about Snowflake and his wife, again, I don't know him personally. I have no idea what's going on in his personal life, and I really don't care. He doesn't post it on the internet. But if I had to take a guess, I would wager to say that she just made that up because she just thought it would be funny. The little giggle there at the end. Let's see.
Like, Snowflake like cheats on his wife, and like that's okay. I don't know. It's just a lot.
Like, she's just doing that, making something up just so that she can say that she did. I don't know, start some drama. She thinks that it'll be fun to get people talking about it. And she wants to give her side, her and babies, some ammunition. And if there's anything I've learned from this video, it is that there are too many babies, like real ones, not like people who don't understand, not people who just have not seen the problem with Amberlynn. There are too many people that have seen it, that know what's going on and still love her anyway. And fuck all of them.
I said in my members live stream that Beck and I were friends for a year after we broke up, and that Beck did not want me telling anyone, obviously, because of backlash. And so then Salty Crab literally said that in their video, and Beck was reacting, and Beck was like, that never happened. We were not friends at all. I never said that. Never said that. So I have a screenshot of that being true. So I'm going to read it and then I'm going to show it. So it was April 17th, 2022, which is almost a year after we broke up. I sent Beck, I am literally getting harassed because people think I lied about us still being friends. Why can't I just tell them I wasn't lying? This sucks so bad. And Beck said, it's best that they don't know. As sad as it is, that would kill my channel. I do not want them knowing because they'll just make it an even bigger, more messy thing.
So Amberlynn is claiming that Beck had started their YouTube channel and then they were having a back and forth and they were friends. That Amberlynn and Beck were still friends at that moment, and that Beck was telling Amber, don't tell anybody we're friends because that could ruin my YouTube channel.
I'm going to address that I saw you and have the rings, but we don't hang out, dude. That's just how it has to be. That's what they have to know because YouTube is my only income and I'm only getting $200. And at the time, Beck was saying that they had a job, even though they didn't. And I said, but what about the backlash I'm getting for lying, even though I'm not lying? And Beck said, if this comes out, it would be even less. Talking about money. And I'm like, I'm literally choosing you over myself. And that was that. So I stayed with the lie. And then this is where they said that they lost their job and YouTube didn't know about it. You guys thought that they still...
So I can't really read the part that's supposed to be Amber. But yeah, I mean, this part that's from Beck is exactly what she said is. Now, a couple things. First of all, Beck has said that they were cordial, right? They were just not rude. And Amberlynn doesn't understand what a friend is. Somebody who's just not an asshole to her is a friend, you know, because she doesn't have friends. She never really has. Every relationship Amber's ever had has been transactional. It's what can you do for me, you know? And so when Beck just wasn't mean or rude, Amber took that as them being a friend. And second, I think it makes sense for Beck to at least be kind and civil and cordial because maybe there's a chance they could get some of that money back because Amber left them with nothing. So, I mean, yeah, if there was a chance that you could get some stuff paid for that you were owed, I think we all would like to think we would go scorched earth, right? And just be like, sayonara, sucker. But man, when you're owed that much money and you have nothing, you're going to be kind or at least civil. Just try to get some recompense, you know? And so this message says nothing, right? This is nothing. This is a nothing burger. In fact, I think it works against Amber because it says right here, it says, I'm going to address that I saw you, but we don't hang out, dude. To me, that sounds more like Amberlynn up here somewhere asked, can we please hang out? You know, and Beck is like, no, this is us not hanging out is how it's going to have to be. You know, it even says that's how it has to be. So no, I don't think this message does what Amber thinks it does.
It's funny because like I'm literally like, okay, so something that Beck said straight up was a lie. What Beck said last night was a lie. And like I'm also showing that like Beck has urged me to lie repeatedly to my audience, and I would do it to protect them. Here's what it is.
So there you go. It has that little, you know, so something about that is just not genuine, right? Something is not sincere. So I don't know what it is, but I imagine when Beck talks about it, I'm sure we'll find out.
People are genuinely so committed to like me being the bad guy that like they will not see any like wrongdoing in Beck. Like it is so weird to me. I don't want you guys to think that they're a bad person because that's not my motive because they're not. But like accountability needs to go around everywhere.
To me, this sounds like Amberlynn is trying to sort of even the playing field with Beck, right? By saying they are not all great either. So we're both equally bad. But that's just not true. If Beck is lying about anything, it's probably just exaggerating things a little bit, making things a little bit more interesting for stories and stuff. So what Amberlynn has done is taken any kind of little issue, anything in their relationship that could be construed as a lie or just not quite right, and make Beck look as bad as she can, which is not that bad. And then tried to say, see, they are just as bad as me. So all this proof that she has was just, you can just look at it and go, I don't think that really proves anything. We all know how awful it would be to live with Amberlynn, because it's not just Beck saying things about Amberlynn, right? Anybody who has ever spent time with Amberlynn has said she is awful, she's horrible and manipulative and abusive. So, you know, Beck is human and makes human mistakes and says human things. But Amberlynn is extreme, like almost to the point of not being human, like not understanding what being human actually is. So there was a lot more in the video, but it's a lot of rambling and we're already so far into it. And I may make a part 2 if there's anything like super interesting or if something comes up that I missed. But yeah, for the most part, this was just damage control and really trying to turn the tables and make Beck look as bad as possible. So I'm really looking forward to Beck's response and Casey's response. So let's look forward to that together. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.